I'm joined here with Tank Carter, football class of 2011. You were Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back 2010, 2011. You're also a huge part of the Rose Bowl. But starting here at TCU, what made you so great defensively? Describe a little bit your style of play.
A lot of the things that we did and all of our guys, we learned a lot from Coach B. Coach Patterson instilled a fire in all of us like early. From the first day that we got here that summer, and not just the summer of my class, but every summer, he started it right then with guys and instilling the values that he wanted his football players to have. And it was just hard-nosed guys that loved to go after it, And as I was talking about last night, none of us took no for an answer. We went in, and it didn't matter if the odds were stacked against us or whatever it was. We just wanted to go in there and play some ball and have some fun, run around. And we had a lot of guys that were rowing in the same direction.
And what was it like playing for such a defensive-minded coach like him and having him watch you walk across that stage into the Hall of Fame?
It was awesome. He's wouldn't say he's the easiest coach to play for because he demanded a lot. He demanded perfection, and he would accept a little less than that. But I will say that all of us wanted to impress him. He was the kind of guy that you didn't want to disappoint just by the way he coached and his kind of persona, the way he carried himself. So you always strive to be great, and I think that he brought everybody up around him. So he had his select few leaders that kind of emulated the way he wanted to be the team to be and the way he coached. But it all started with Coach Patterson and his fire and the way that he, raised us. He got us when we were young men and kind of turned us into men getting, 22, 23 years old. So I'd say it all started with Coach Patterson.
And, I got to ask you about the Rose Bowl
Sure.
versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin's on 4th and goal, 2 minutes left on the clock. You get the deflection against them. Walk us through that moment.
So he called a blitz, and I was coming off the left side. Me and Colin Jones actually were in on a blitz from the left side, and they slid the pass protection. They slid right into it, and I knew there was no way I was getting through. They had 2 blockers for every one guy basically, so I just stopped and read the quarterback's eyes and jumped up and knocked it down. Luckily I did, because there was a guy that we had kind of blown the coverage a little bit on our weak side, and the number 3 receiver was wide open in the end zone, and luckily it just worked out the way it did.
And you were a 5th-round pick to the Buffalo Bills in 2012 and spent 5 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. Talk about your NFL experience.
It was great. I had to learn a lot of how to be a professional athlete. I thought going to be into the NFL, once going from college to the NFL, you could prepare the same, but it was a whole nother animal of preparation transitioning from college to the league, and I kind of had to learn that. I was released from the Bills after my first camp and picked up by the Browns, and when I went to the Browns, I kind of started to learn how to become a professional athlete, and I stayed there for 7 years. So.
And you're going to be at the game, TCU versus West Virginia tomorrow. Yes. TCU's defense had a little bit of a slow start against Colorado, but now 3 games heading into week 5, they've only allowed 3 touchdowns. What words of encouragement would you have for them as they take the stage tomorrow night?
Just keep on getting better. Every week you have to obviously study your opponent and get better every week, but for the most part, you just got to work on your craft every week, day in and day out, just working on the best things, and I guess the high points for each player. Work on that. What makes them who they are for each guy, and then practice their butts off against each other. I feel like whenever Andy was leading the offense, Andy Dalton, I was leading the defense, we used to go after each other in practice, the whole team, offense and defense, but it was a camaraderie. We grew together by competing against each other. And I think that's why when we got on game day, it was, I don't say a cakewalk, but it wasn't much, because we would go after each other in practice. And we had a roster loaded with NFL talent of guys that made it on to the next level and played for years. And we practiced really hard against each other. And I always tell, I'll go and talk to varsity football teams in high school, and I'll tell them, guys, you want to be great and you want to win a lot of games, practice your butts off against each other. And I think that that's just one thing that always stuck with me, is how hard we practiced against each other, and taking that into the game week of how easy the game was at that point because of how hard we practiced during the week.
Well, congratulations on this. Go enjoy it with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much.